Research financed by the Office of the Secretary of Defense that was finalized in May has revealed some very interesting, consistent, and statistically significant findings regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. Indeed, and perhaps the most glaring of these findings made by the study, which is detailed in the 62-page report, Not the X-Files, Mapping Public Reports of Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Across America, is that reports of UAP sightings were found more likely to occur in areas within 30 kilometers of military operations areas, or MOAs, where routine military training takes place. Additionally, the models that were used to conduct the analysis for the Secretary of Defense showed that reports of UAP sightings were less likely to take place within 30 kilometers of weather stations, 60 kilometers of civilian airports, and in more densely populated areas, while rural areas, conversely, tended to have a higher rate of UAP reports. The study was performed within the Acquisition and Technology Policy Program of the RAND Corporation's National Security Research Division, which operates the National Defense Research Institute, a federally funded research and development center sponsored by the Office of the Secretary of Defense, the Joint Staff, the Unified Combatant Commands, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the defense agencies, and the Defense Intelligence Enterprise. RAND's research is based on the study's 3 researchers' review of 101,151 public reports of UAP sightings in the United States from 1998 to 2022. The data for which is contained in a database of UAP sightings maintained by the National UFO Reporting Center, or NUFORC, which is one of the non-governmental entities that the Federal Aviation Administration references in official documents for where to report unexplained aerial phenomena. The RAND research was completed in May and underwent a security review with the Office of the Secretary of Defense and the Defense Office of Prepublication and Security Review. While the RAND analysis should not be interpreted as an endorsement of any individual reports made to NUFORC or the accuracy of the NUFORC database, the rigorous statistical models employed by the RAND scientists to analyze the NUFORC data nevertheless found an inconsistent relationship between the nearest military and weather installations and self-reports of UAP sightings. One of the recommendations stemming from the study made by its authors in RAND's final report states, quote, "Government authorities should conduct outreach with civilians located near military operations areas, as many civilians may not be aware that they are located near areas where military operations occur. If the results of the analysis are correct, that is, being located within 30 kilometers of military operations areas is significantly associated with reports of UAPs, and if some of these reported objects are authorized aircraft, then communicating that such activities are being conducted nearby could reduce the likelihood that the public will report these aircraft as UAPs," unquote. RAND suggested government authorities should conduct additional outreach to notify nearby civilians when there is airspace activity near a military operations area. Not all military operations areas are in use by authorized aircraft. Thus, RAND said, quote, "When appropriate, notifying local populations of activities in military operations areas could reduce the number of reported UAPs that are in fact authorized aircraft," unquote. The RAND study's 3 authors also said that an evaluation should be conducted to inform the design of a detailed and robust system for public reporting of UAP sightings, noting that such an evaluation would inform the use of various technologies, reporting on location types, sighting features, criteria for validating these reports, and who is best equipped to independently manage such a reporting system. Such a system, the study says, would be useful in minimizing hoaxes and reports of misidentified objects. The RAND study's statistical models predicted 2 outcomes of interest. First, the total number of UAPs over time, and second, the total number of UAPs in clusters that accounted for a significantly higher number of reports relative to the rest of the country. Both statistical models found inconsistent results in the relationship between the nearest military installations and self-reports of UAP sightings. For example, there was a higher likelihood of UAP reports in areas that were within 60.1 kilometers to 120 kilometers of a Marine Corps installation, as compared with 30.1 kilometers to 60 kilometers. But there was some evidence that reports were less likely in areas within 30 kilometers of these same installations. RAND's study for the Pentagon found inconsistent results when examining the association between proximity to weather stations with reported launches of government weather balloons and self-reports of UAP sightings. The study states, quote, "We also found negative associations in our models for UAP reports within 30 kilometers of weather stations, within 60 kilometers of civilian airports, and in more densely populated areas. One possible explanation for this pattern of findings is that people located in more densely populated areas, near airports and near weather stations, are more aware of these types of aircraft that fly overhead and nearby, and are therefore less apt to report aerial phenomena," unquote. The most consistent and statistically significant finding from RAND's models was for reports of UAP sightings in areas within 30 kilometers of military operations areas. Again, MOAs, also called special use airspace, are established for military flight activities and include air combat maneuvers, air intercepts, and low-altitude tactics. Given this association, the RAND study's authors said they suspect that some of the self-reports of UAP sightings to NUFORC are authorized aircraft flying within MOAs. And given the clustering of UAP reports around MOAs, a not insignificant number of these UAP sightings very likely were and continue to be of classified aircraft that are being tested. The study's authors pointed out that it was beyond the scope of their research to confirm the context of UAP self-reports beyond their documented locations in the NUFORC database. As pointed out, the study relied on NUFORC's database of 101,151 reported UAP sightings in 12,783 census-designated places, as determined by the U.S. Census Bureau from 1998 to 2022. Interestingly, the distribution of these sightings varied across the years. The number of reported sightings increased from 1998 to 2014, with a particularly noticeable sharp increase during the 2012 to 2014 period, a period during which several classified U.S. military aircraft were being tested, including early variants of the B-21 Raider, the Pentagon's new long-range strategic stealth bomber, which wasn't officially made public or declassified until it was revealed to the world on the evening of December 2, 2022. Sightings then decreased from 2015 to 2018, but rose again in 2019 and 2020 before returning to approximately 2018 levels in 2021. Overall, an average of 1.6 sightings were reported per 100,000 population each year. The RAND study interestingly identified 751 statistically significant clusters of UAP sightings during the period examined from 1998 to 2022. The number of clusters detected across the years followed a similar pattern of the UAP sightings, except that the total number of clusters peaked in 2013 and 2019, respectively. In both years, there were higher than average numbers of sightings reported to NUFORC, and the peaks in sighting clusters would better represent when the number of potentially related sightings, i.e. proximity in time and space, was greatest. On average, the RAND researchers found clusters contained 14.2 UAP sightings. While some of the identified clusters were small, 2 to 4 sightings, others included more than 100 sightings. Of note, the RAND scientists found that some of what they call the most persistent clusters of sightings took place along the coast of Washington and Oregon, although the researchers found clusters in many areas, including along the East Coast and in rural areas of the U.S. In conclusion, the RAND study produced several important findings. First, the preponderance of the UAP sightings in the NUFORC database that the RAND researchers analyzed tended to show up in very noticeable clusters around military operations areas, also known as special use airspace. Second, for the period the RAND researchers studied, the peaks and lows in reported UAP sightings appear to have fluctuated in sync with the testing of classified military aircraft. Lastly, UAPs were more commonly reported in rural areas of the nation. Be sure to subscribe and like. YouTube's algorithm likes it when you like. And be sure to smash the notification bell to be alerted when new reports are published here. And we have more reports like this one coming, including an exclusive deep dive into the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, an intelligence organization I happen to know something about, and a look at the generals and civilian leadership to whom the questions about what the government really knows about UAPs should be being asked. Until next time, be safe, well, and stay frosty out there.